Hello, you metal pilgrims, and welcome to yet another episode of our interview series. Our today's guest is the frontman of the Austrian Post Black Metal band Harakiri For The Sky, JJ. JJ and I will be speaking about the band's upcoming studio release Mare, the process behind it, mythology, post black metal, and much more. But as always, before we start, I'd like to take a moment and invite you to join the conversation and subscribe to Metal Pilgrim channel on YouTube and join our communities on Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, and any other social media you actually hang out at to submit your questions for all future interview guests. Stay tuned with the updates and for more exclusive rock and metal content. Here you go. Hey JJ, how's it going, man?
Yeah, pretty good. We got a. The lockdown is now 3 weeks longer than they usually promised us, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess that
Everybody has the same problem right now, so it's at least it's not unfair. So
yeah, man, same here. We just entered another wave of harsh lockdown, and I think we're gonna stick here for the next week or so, something like that. But let's pray that all this madness is over pretty soon, and you and all the other bands are gonna be able to hit the road pretty soon, man. And and we'll get back to normal. So, let's get to the music stuff, man. Your next studio album, Maere, is due on February 19th now. You're right, you had to switch the date a bit. Congrats on finishing it up during these hard times, man. I know it can be kind of tough. Could you talk a bit about the creative process behind it? How did all of this come together into this one coherent piece?
Sure. Yeah, I think Matthias started right after Arsen came out to write new riffs and all that. It's not always the same. Sometimes you write on the songs like 3 days in a row, every day, and you finish it after a few days. And sometimes you have parts like they are in your head like for half a year or a year, and you can't find a part who is fitting to as next one and all that. So yeah, it takes it a little of time to sort this out. I think he was finished in summer 2019 or something with songwriting, and yeah. Then I started to write lyrics in autumn 2019, and we recorded everything in winter. I think the last weekend I did record vocals. Was like the last weekend of January last year. Then we directly went to Russia and to how is it called, Lithuania and all these Balticum countries. And yeah, and then 2 or 3 3 or 4 weeks later, all this shit started to become popular and everything. I think I played my last regular show end of February, and yeah, then 3 weeks later we already had the lockdown, but we were finished with everything before. Just the mixing and the mastering was not done till the lockdown. And also Nesh from Alchest couldn't find the studio in this time.
Yeah, it's hard
to record his vocals. So it took a little bit more time, and I think we finished everything in June or something. But then we already had to delay the release date from September to January, because we idiots were also thinking maybe we can tour regularly in January. Yeah, for sure.
Everyone does.
But afterwards we are all wiser. and yeah, and now not even end of January works out for the release date, but everything is in pressing plans and all that. It's just a little bit too short for the label and the and everything and the mail orders to ship it out to for the right time.
Yeah.
but I think we should have everything by 25th January, and then the label is sorting everything out, packing everything together, and then now it should be okay. Finally.
Good, yeah. Sounds like a plan, man. I hope that you'll be able to release it on time this time, right? So you mentioned that most of the writing and actual recording has been done before the lockdown. So can you say that none of this shit, none of these events actually shape the music or influenced it at all, right? I mean, it's all.
No, absolutely not. Everything was done before. Every lyric, every song was written before. Every text and every lyric sheet was written before. So
it's really funny.
No, it had no
I
effect.
was able to hear the album just a couple of days earlier than that, and I actually would have thought that the pandemics and all this kind of madness around the world kind of influenced the lyrics and the music and the general atmosphere, because it fits well into this mad world of 2020 2021
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah. So would sound how should I say in English? You should mean that all this affected our album and the songwriting, but no, the madness you were talking about is just turned out by all the people these days, because they act so strange in this time. People you never thought that are pretty mad now act like maniacs and totally and have a total different character they have in normal times. This is the only madness. This everything turned out, but not in Harakiri.
That's true, man. Absolutely. For those of our users who do not know, right, Maere is an evil entity in both Slavic and Germanic mythology, which awakes nightmares. If I'm not
Okay.
in Ukraine, it is. What's in this, name for you? Why did you guys choose it, and how did you come to it?
Okay, I think it's pretty interesting that it has the same story in Slavic mythology than in the with the old English one. To me, it is like as it is in the mythology, a ghoul that is sitting on your chest and and keeps you from sleeping, and makes you nightmares. And the same are my lyrics to me, because even if they are all more or less autobiographic, most of them are like self-fulfilling prophet. Many of them are like self-fulfilling prophecies. I write them, and because I already know, or think I know this something will happen, or and in this direction, and most of the time, and as sad as it is, it gets true, like the lyrics of Us Against December Skies and all that. So to me, Mare is like a metaphor to my lyrics, because they are also keeping me or my thoughts are also keeping me from sleep, as this ghoul in the mythology does.
That's pretty interesting, man. And what are some of the inspirations, both musically and lyrically, for you as the band?
I think I just can talk about what I know from Matthias. His musical influences are pretty huge, not just from one or two genres. He also listens to a lot of black metal, but I think his favorite bands are like how shall I say, bands albums like newer Deftones or Placebo, as you may know from the cover song we did. And also very much Gothenburg death metal, where he is into since he is 11 or 12 years old, I think, and a huge fan of the first few In Flames album and all that.
Flames, Dark Tranquility, that kind of stuff, right?
All that. And I mean, inspiration for my lyrics is practically life, I'd say, daily living, estrangement, all the this bad feelings, or mostly estrangement and broken relationships, I'd say. And yeah, also we have a little bit of this, I know, uh, druggy drink stuff, because depressions and all that often go hand by hand, with substance abuse and all that. I think, the most these are my main influences. But yeah, mostly this, person to person stuff, like estrangement and broken relationships and all that. Yeah, that's what I know best to write about. And I think also my other band Kargel do this since I'm 16 or 17 years old. And I think it's the only thing I know about. I couldn't write something that I just imagined myself or something. It's just I can just write about something I lived through or I felt. So yeah, it's daily life, I'd say.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you guys just started, when was that? Like close to 10 years ago, right? I mean, you were all labeled as a post black metal band, whatever that means, actually, right? But today your music incorporates several styles and lyrically as well, right? I mean, you have your black melodic death metal, doom. You even have metalcore at some point, right?
Yeah,
You can hear the influence. How do you guys characterize yourself? I mean, do you put a stamp on yourself or not really?
I think this just happens because I don't think Matthias sits down and says he wants to write a doom riff or something. I think it's just happening, and he doesn't think about genre borders or something. If you are open minded and if you have influences from every kind of music or genre, I think this kind of happens because we play post black metal. But if you write a grunge song, it's still post black metal when you record it like a post black metal riff. But on the other hand, it's also a grunge riff, so it can get kind of diverse. And I think that's also something this band is about. That it's not just one direction or that direction.
Yeah, there you go, man. And do you personally have a favorite song from the album, or it's like a favorite kid question, impossible one to choose?
Yeah, it are also the songs I have the most relation to
Mhm.
lyrically. Yeah, this is Us Against the December Skies, which is about lost love, or maybe not lost love. I don't know till date, but now at the moment it's over. Not knowing if it will get if we will get back together soon or never. And I Paul Bearer, which is about three characters, which one of them is me.
Mhm.
And yeah, but that's the only thing I want to say about it, because I got asked this a few times. Um, how many characters that are in these lyrics, and so that the people don't get, how should I say in English, that they don't that they know, at least this direction, that
Mhm.
there are these three characters. I also say it in the interviews, but the rest, everybody has to think about it and
Mhm.
yeah, think about himself, what the lyrics could be about. But basically it's about bipolar disorder, and that most of the time, it leads people to depression or suicide, or to the mental asylum or something. And at least no one who really suffers from this dies an old man. This is basically the main content.
And you guys also invited several, guest musicians, in addition to your touring ones usually.
Yeah, sure.
On this one, what do you think those guys brought in terms of the sound, and why did you go with them?
Yeah, I mean, Neshi is something like a youth hero from both of for us, me and Matthias. And I mean, he also was the one who did with Alchest and Amazors release the first post black metal albums. I think there wasn't such a genre before. Nobody talked about post black metal
Yeah.
until the first Amazors EP and the second Alchest album came out. And even he's not that much older than we are. He became something like a symbol figure of this genre to us, and we like every artist album. I am still a huge fan of Emesors. And yeah, so we thought about asking him, but then we said, no, why should he work with us? No one knows our band and all that. And but then I think we drank a little bit, and then we thought, yeah, why not? Why not write him on Facebook and try to ask him?
All the best decisions come after a drink, right, man?
Yeah, something like this. When we were brave enough to write.
I know. Talk to a girl in a bar. Huh, have a drink first and then talk.
Yeah. And then we wrote him, and I think 2 days later he directly answered us that he is with us, and yeah, so everything came together. And the second guest part from the singer of Gaera, Matthias had a year, I think it was 2017 or something, or 2018, that he was in Portugal a lot. And he also met his girlfriend there, and there he also met the Gaera guys. And they directly had a friendship.
Yeah.
And became friends. To me, it is also a special thing, because normally I don't meet guys. They are similar to me, as I'm more a hardcore kid than a metal kid. And Ruben, the singer of Gaera, is also more the hardcore kid. I can talk about Converge, Modern Life, and all this with him, which I usually can't with the metal guys. And so we also directly became friends and had a connection, also because of this tattoo thing. He's a tattoo artist and also has a lot of ink. And yeah, that's how this we put this together.
Nice, man, nice. And do you guys ever considered, broadening your gang and invited some of your usual touring guys? Because I mean, you have the same people you tour with, right? To become full scale, full-time members of the band.
I don't know why we never thought about this.
Have a drink, man.
No, I really can't give you an answer on this, because I never thought about this. I think we decide which people we want to have on our album when we go through our LP collection, and not when we think about past tours or something like this.
Alright. And any plans to actually, while we're talking about the touring guys, they should know about this, but any plans, for rescheduled dates for 2021 around Europe?
Yeah, I think we rescheduled everything to February and January 2022 now.
So 1 year to wait, huh?
Yeah, at first they planned something like on a few special dates, which would be this year, to do some seated Corona shows or something like this, playing for 50 people in a room with every 2 meters is one seat and stuff. I'm glad this didn't happen, or this won't happen.
Man,
because
yeah.
I did one seated show in summer with my other band Kharkiv, but this was like 200 people in a 1,000 people location. So it was okay, and they were also not seated separately. but they were allowed 8 people, one table or something. So it was not that bad. It was okay for one show or something, one special show in summer, because you can't do anything else. But playing a tour with this. No,
it's not worth it, I guess. I mean, I'm very much of a live show guy, right? I mean, I cannot say that I really love the band unless I see them live, because I mean, for me, rock and roll, and metal, rock, all this stuff lives in clubs, lives in festivals. It is about drinking a beer with a stranger, or a glass of juice. I don't know. You don't care, right? About enjoying the band live, that energy that you get from the band, And if you just enjoy it digitally, this is not the same thing. And if I would have to go to a club and stand 2 meters apart from the next guy next to me, I mean, it's kind of. At this point, I think I'd rather wait for another half a year or so and enjoy a show like it's supposed to be played.
Yeah, maybe. Also, regular tours work way more than all this sitting apart, whatever stuff. But I hope that the people will get more intelligent and more think about the vaccinations, because what we now have is that maybe 50% of the population is against getting vaccinated.
Same thing, man.
But it won't get better if we don't do. Sure, there should have been more time to prove the vaccination and all this, but it is as it is.
We don't have that time, man.
And if we want to get back to normal, we have to get vaccinated. That's everything we can do. And if I'm in the row to get vaccinated, I say thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing over here, and there's so many theories, conspiracy theories going around. That I mean, what do you guys propose? We can close the eyes on the problem and pretend those hundreds of thousands of people didn't die, or what? I mean, it is what it is, and we just kind of have to move past it, and we need to get over it and freaking everyone do our part. Wash your hands, wear a mask, get vaccinated if you have if you have a possibility to do so. So freaking do it, man.
Yeah, totally.
Then just a couple more questions. I don't want to keep you too busy, and this is something I'm actually curious to hear about you, right? What is your one musical guilty pleasure? What do you blast when you're drunk if it's not heavy music? Backstreet Boys, Spice Girls.
Heavy music. I'm a huge fan since 20 years or something of The Wind and the Moon. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know this. It's this neo-folk.
Mm-hmm.
Also pretty sad. And this is what I listen to after the heavy shit, when I'm already shortly before passing out, or how should I say?
So you're one of those guys who's at a party with metal hats. You're like, oh guys, wait a second, I have this one crazy ass track for you, and then you play that.
Maybe, yeah. But it's also very sad. But it's acoustic music with some sort of synth stuff and all that. So. But I have a lot of guilty pleasures. I'm a huge indie rock fan and a huge shoegaze fan and all this. But I also listen to a lot of heavy music. So
yeah, I guess it evens out then.
a bit of everything.
Yeah, makes sense. And this is the next one is something we usually do to close the show. And I'm again curious to be reminiscent about those days when you could tour. Could you tell us just one craziest, messed up touring story from all of your life? And yeah, you gotta do it, man. You gotta do it.
Oh, I can't tell you the worst story.
Something you can legally share, something you won't go to jail for.
What shall I tell you? Yeah, and I can't tell you one special story or something. But you always have great experiences if you go to cities like Glasgow or something, because Scotland always crazy people and all that. I also really found it funny when we played the Ukraine 2 years ago. When I rode with the Yuba for like 1 year or something from one part of the city to the other one. I think to some metal bar. I can't remember the name.
Okay.
Some guy from some popular Ukrainian band owns it or something. But that's I forgot about the name, and was pretty funny because in Austria or something, you are not allowed to go to sit in the taxi with a drink or something.
In Ukraine, you're not allowed as well.
Yeah,
you couldn't get arrested.
The Uber driver was like also, I think, a little bit shit-faced. He looked like this, and I rode with this guy for 40 minutes, and the streets in Kharkiv are like, and I asked him if I can drink my vodka and stuff while riding to the pub. No worries. And, yeah.
Seriously. I've never been to Kharkiv, believe it or not, but I hear the most messed up stories about that city because people there are crazy. I mean, they love to party and they love to freaking go all in.
Yeah, maybe that's because they are too close to Russia. I don't
Who
know.
knows?
But I like cities as Kharkiv because they are honest.
Yeah,
they don't try
true.
to be something that they are not. They are crazy, and that's what's their charm.
Yeah, and there are some amazing people living there. I have several amazing friends from Kharkiv, and I hope that festival you actually played at Novakola, it's about to have, I hope that they will have a 2021 edition, and and we all can go there and enjoy that one. JJ, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate your time. Any last message for the fans?
Yes, for sure.
Old and new ones. Everyone who's going to be watching us.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for the interview, and hope to see you in person maybe someday.
Absolutely. Have a beer at a real show, man.
And a drink.
This is true. For everyone who is going to be watching us, Harakiri For The Sky's Maere is out on February 19th. It is a great, very coherent record, dark yet very uplifting in a way as well. Make sure you check it out and don't skip that one. Thanks a lot, JJ. Keep rocking, man.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah,
You too.
thanks.
Bye.